I'm here with Carrie Freeman Parsons, and Inside Live Events is the joy to read. And I have to tell you, Carrie, first I want to ask, did you have fun writing this with Bob?
You know what? It was fun. I will say it took us a while to get there. This is something that Bob had the notion really about 10 years ago that it would be beneficial for us to share our process with that works so well for us, but with the broader community. And as you know, there's just not a lot of written information about our industries. But when he first asked me about it, I was like, I'm not an author. I'm not, what do I know about that? But it really has been fun to understand the complexities of what we do and to integrate a lot of other people into the content as well. And it's just been a joy to hear from people as a result of it.
Well, I love it
Grateful.
because, I went through the book. What I love is it is actually it's very relevant to what we're going through right now. I love
Mm.
that you have to-do lists. I love you have pros lists. You talk in threes. So you got me at that. Like that is my kind of language. I think any event professional would love to have this as a guide. And it's not even only a guide, it really showcases your, I'm not going to say legacy, because, and I don't mean it that like in a that way, but I mean it in the sense of the wealth of information that comes from experience. I love that you're focusing on the how and not only the why.
Mm.
And I also think, and I'm going to say it up front, I think this book should be a must read for anybody, not only in the events industry, but primarily should be the textbook for any new talent coming in, and even in colleges, because it's so relevant. And so one question that I wanted to ask you was, you outline here the four phase design thinking methodology. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So several years ago, we engaged with Bruce Mao, who is a brilliant designer, and he came to us with this notion of design thinking. And he recognized for Freeman that we have this incredible opportunity because we produce events kind of year after year after year. And he's like, when you have that opportunity, that means you can have this kind of flywheel of always getting better. And he noticed that within Freeman, we would start the event, produce the event, and the event go to the next event. And we weren't necessarily learning from what happened at that event. And we weren't always 100% clear on what problems we were trying to solve on behalf of our clients. So he introduced this design thinking methodology, this 4-step process. And we rolled that out at Freeman and started practicing it for how we worked internally. And then we realized, this is really a process. If you really are going to be inclusive, which is what design thinking, one of the principles is that you bring at the beginning the people in who are going to be responsible for executing the event, so that you're not sending it down the river, back up the river, down the river, up the
Right.
river. That this was something that we needed to involve our clients in, because clearly at the end of the day, what we do is in service of them. And so, it wasn't a huge strategic, like, we're going to roll this out and work with our clients this way. It really happened internally first. And then we realized it would be great to do with clients. And so that was really the genesis of saying, this is not unique to Freeman. This is, we think, a process that could help our clients in the industry at large.
Fantastic. So there was a little glitch, but just rephrase who introduced the methodology with you.
So Bruce Mao,
Yes, ma'am.
MAU, who's just a brilliant thinker, and he is based out of Chicago and works on really big projects. And his belief is that all problems can be solved if you design the solution. It's really about
Fantastic.
and the principles of that.
So, and you designing the solution, you also talk about, the importance of creating the memorable experiences. And I think that is the number one mission, for any event professional or any event organizer. They are trying to keep it where they're thinking of the stakeholders, of all the event participants. how are they going to leave the experience, just is it mind stamping? Mind stamping is a word that I love and I should trademark it, but how is it going to leave that element of like, I loved being here. Now I leave a better person and I do want to come back, especially in the world that we're living in, where it's saturated with events. You have all of these factors and just life like whizzing around you. Like what's your advice on like how event professionals can cut the noise and truly connect with their audiences in a time that we're living in right now?
Yeah. Listen, it's the number one challenge and it's the most significant opportunity.
Right.
We several years ago had started hearing that, events were less digital marketing, other ways to reach clients, that maybe events weren't quite, they're expensive and are they really the most effective way? And so, certainly during the Great Recession was the first time our business in general was impacted by reduction in budgets. Because prior to that time, it's like, well, this is the only way to reach the audience and to connect. And so we started hearing these things, and then generationally, we're hearing from younger people say, like, I don't want to walk up and down an aisle and eat a crappy hot dog and hope that I find who I want to find, that if you're going to get me out of my office. And so, these things have been happening along the way where marketers are saying, if you're going to ask me to spend this much money, you need to make it more honed in to what we need and connect us to the people that we want to connect to. And attendees are saying, if you want me to spend my money and you want me to get out of my house, you need to make it an experience. And that felt so overwhelming to say, like, how could you possibly design an experience for 10,000 people who may are different ages and different, just to come from different backgrounds, and that's feels like such a daunting challenge. But at the end of the day, that's what the design opportunity is. If you really know your audience well and you can do personas to say, generally speaking, this age bracket within our demographic, values these things. And, certainly with data and now with AI, there are ways that you can make those events more exciting and memorable. But at the end of the day, it takes a commitment because it's hard. It's really hard to not rinse and repeat. It's hard to not say, like, oh, we're going to do the same, opening night session with the same type of entertainment and the same whatever, and we're going to hope everybody loves it. It's really causing our clients to have to work in a new way and to take some risks and to be creative about how they get some of these things paid for. And for our clients who've decided to do that and meet the expectation of marketers, as well as start to meet the expectations of attendees from an experience perspective, their events are thriving. So I think, and certainly we can get into it's even more upheaval now and things like that. And with younger generations saying they're feeling lonely. And, the good news for the events industry is people want to connect. They want to be part of something bigger than themselves. They want to be inspired. And so that is a huge, like Yahoo for us. That's really great. And it's hard. It's really a lot of work to deliver on that promise.
Well, I hear you, and you're absolutely right, 1,000% right. I also tend to feel that, it's not only because of the personalization that you would want for the different event participants, whether they're younger, older, first time at an event, 10-timer at an event. I also think that right now there's this huge pressure, especially on event professionals that do want to design different, where the C-suite or the leadership is stuck in their own ways or in the old ways. And therefore the design element, and I think this is where I would love your opinion on this. I think this is where we're losing the younger talent or the new talent coming in, because the leadership is focused on designing on what's in their head, not looking at what is needed or the behaviors that are needed. And you outline that quite a bit in the book. So I feel like every single younger generation should take this book and just slam it on the C-suite or leadership table.
Yeah,
Say, before you say no to my budget, read this,
right,
page
right.
59, and then it just needs highlighting. All of it should be highlighted and then sent to the C-suite.
Well, what you're mentioning is the number one issue, or kind of the whispered confession of a lot of the people who our account teams work with day to day.
Mhm.
Say, I know what we need to do. I know
Yes.
we need to make this change. I know, and I can't get, above the noise. I can't get to the C-suite. And, it's hard to say because there's not a one size fits all on that. But, really at the end of the day, an event should be the output of an organization's strategy. So if it's to sell more product, if you're a marketer, or to expand your brand, or if it's to drive community, if you're an association that you need more membership. And so to the degree that whoever is responsible for the event can continue to press in to what the strategic priorities are, and to try to introduce concepts that'll say, if our membership is declining, that's not just an association problem. That's going to impact the event. So how can the event help in achieving the overall strategy? And it's I guess it's like all things, the market will take care of that in a way. If you choose not to evolve, you're going to be left behind. And hopefully you wake up to that before it's too late. But I do remember years ago, I had the opportunity to meet this nice older man who was a member of, and member specifically is an old Baptist church that's not too far from us. And I remember him saying, like, it's really hard for me because the young families want more contemporary music and they want to be able to wear blue jeans to work or to church. And he's like, it's so hard for me, but I know that if our mission at the church is to get more people to come in, we need to adjust.
Right.
And he was foreshadowing that, which that was maybe 20 years ago that we had that conversation. It's really the foreshadowing of exactly what's true. And by the way, I'm just going to be clear, Freeman too, we've had to realize that the way that we work and how decisions are made, and not just sit at the dining table and listen to what's happening, but enabling young people to contribute. And that was a little hard for us at first too. And now we're like, holy smokes, you guys are brilliant.
Yeah.
Really, really good ideas.
So what is your advice in regards to the younger talent coming into our industry?
I would say first and foremost to really press into those questions about how does senior leadership view this event? How does this event contribute to the organizational's priority? Is it simply to generate cash, for the organization, and after that there's really not? Or is it one of the most important assets, and how can you prove that out? Because I think if you are working in an event space where it is a strategic priority for senior management, they're going to be looking to the event team and looking for new ideas, to be able to bring to bear and to improve. If you don't get that impression that it's kind of like, well, it's really important because it brings people together, but it's not seen as a strategic value necessarily, or they're not doing anything new, I think you might get frustrated. And then the flip side is also doing your own work to understand what the strategic imperatives might be for that industry. And once you get hired, and not just throw ideas out, like, you should go do this. Like, you should base it in research, and we're providing lots of research out there to say, based on the industry research about this demographic, these are the types of things we need to be thinking about and starting to integrate in. So, base your opinions on facts that are going to help advance the organization's strategy.
No, I think that's important too. Base it on facts. It doesn't have to be facts that or data that's, brought up from the event itself, but even if it's signals from other sectors or signals from consumer behavior, etc. Because I'm a big believer where I act like a 3-year-old with some of our clients, where I'm like, why? So why are you doing this? Why? Why? And they hate me for it. But like the other thing that I also feel that's going to start happening is if the business model and if the leadership is into creating events just for the sake of the revenue, they are going to lose so many opportunities, not only from a talent perspective, but also from a stakeholder perspective, as well as the attendance. And I worry about, you speak a lot about this in the book as well, where it's almost like you have to reevaluate even real time at the moment at events, because and that's where the checklists come in, and thinking in the threes and so forth, because I honestly think our attendees, they're changing their mental behaviors and what they're consuming at a show during the show. So like
Right.
we're this is why I have the sign, like I don't know,
I
sign
see
right
it.
here, right? But like this is where you almost have to be a crystal ball reader of some kind, and always evolving in the sense of this is how you reevaluate based on the signals outside of the industry, inside of the event, the technologies that are like swirling right now. And it's a lot, but like you said, use it as an opportunity. Don't use it as like, holy crap, I don't know how to wrap my head around it, right?
Right, right. Well, and it is hard. I mean, if you think about retailers and things, they have 365 days to when some new trend comes up, they can respond or they can do
Mhm.
whatever. A lot of our clients have one event a year. If it's a show organizer, corporate events, even corporate, they may have multiple events, but there's typically one event a year. And it's like you don't want to change the whole thing year to year. That capacity would be very difficult. But we have a client just in particular that I was involved in a discussion that said, like, let's do a 3-year plan. Like, we know what's happening. Let's do a 3-year plan. Let's address this in the first year. Let's build to that. Let's try some things. Let's, and you have to, I think there are ways to take small bets. There are
Yeah.
ways that you can try things out. And if they don't work, then you just don't do them again. And I think sometimes it feels so overwhelming, like, well, we have to change our whole show, or we have to change our whole marketing, or we have to change our whole brand. It's like, well, no, you may need to update your brand, but you don't necessarily have to do all of that
Do
in
the
a
whole thing.
year.
Yeah.
Have a plan and work toward it.
Not like to take a look at it in extremes, but
Yes.
maybe,
Yeah.
it's the 3-year plan is part of it's almost like phases, if you will.
Right.
Because I bet you $1 million, which I don't have, but like year two plan is probably going to change in year one because
Yes.
of everything around us, right?
Right.
We're like in an unknown phase at the moment. But what you were talking about is also linked to the new technologies that we have into play, that, and I know that AI is a big deal right now from different angles. It's
Yeah.
the way to enhance us as event professionals. It's a way to enable us to do more faster, be nimble, be agile, which I think that's what's scaring event professionals right now. It's like, wait, hang on. So our marketing can happen, today, instead of waiting for 6 months, to see concepts or designs or ads and
Right.
so forth. So give me your take on this new technology, because it's almost part of every single chapter that you have in the book.
Yes, it is. And there's so much yet to be revealed.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful, Bob first, and he's retired now, and Janet, who have said, like, we are trying, I think there's 30 or 40 different um, AI applications that Freeman is using today, not system wide, but in very discrete, this for our proposal team or for our content team or, for whatever. And, that is kind of the other piece of it, is to say, like, what is out there? What specific problem do you have? And how can is there an AI tool that will help you? I think the biggest challenge is that most of the people making decisions on those things, and I'll put myself in that bucket, don't default to thinking about solving a problem in a new way using AI. Like, it's hard to kind of conceptualize, how do you even use it? It seems like so mind-blowing. And by the way, young people don't think that way. And not all people my age think that way either. I'm just saying in general, that's,
Yeah.
that's mine. And so that's where having those kind of blended teams, those Renaissance teams to say, how do we think about this? Is there a way that you can solve this challenge? Can you teach me how to do that going further? But and I can give you a very specific example of we attend big supporters of Convening Leaders, which is PCMA's annual event. And we every year have a pretty significant marketing plan for all and activations. And one of those activations is we host an event. And this year, the marketing team tried an AI tool, I don't know the name of it, to validate email addresses from the ones that we had received and to get a little bit more information about those. And as a result, like our open rates went up 10 or 15%, our attendance went up. So, it wasn't a big expensive thing. It was just a way to say, like, how do we make sure that the people we want to invite to our event are invited to our event? Period.
Yeah. Perfect.
So there's so much yet to be revealed. I just, it's so exciting and it's so scary and it's so overwhelming.
And it's so fast.
And it's so
I'm a big believer. So I love AI. I like talking about it. I like diffusing the fear from our event professionals that have it. But I also feel there's this opportunity where you can have, this is a theory that I have, and tell me if I'm crazy, and I am crazy. It shows in the hair. But I feel like, there are certain levels of responsibility within an event organization, as well as with different responsibilities, where there should be two people instead of one. So like two different directors, two different managers, because of it's almost like a yin and yang. That's how I visualize it, where it is someone who is like the sage, and someone who is maybe the AI enhancer of some kind, and they collaborate and they connect that way for like event management or even event design or event marketing, and they tag team. And I think that there is this opportunity where you have, those that have been in the industry for a very long time, and maybe the young talent, and they like team together. So it's like two managers instead of one, two brains instead of one. And this, because everybody's speed is also different. So I don't think we are able to anymore say, oh, a marketing plan is going to take 6 months. No, honey, it's not going to take 6 months. Like it cannot anymore. Like we need to be so agile. Even like I was talking to a client and they're like, we're 8 weeks out. Our sponsorships are down. What can we do to like spark it? Well, you first look at the data of what people would want, create some packages around that. Then maybe you go to a brand new list of potential sponsors, not your bellwethers, not your ones that you know. And does that sound crazy? Because like we're in a speed tunnel right now with the technology, with the intel that we have, and the delivery even.
Yeah, I completely agree. You have to be nimble and you don't want to be chaotic and that kind of thing. I do want to touch specifically on what you were talking about, the yin and the yang of the tenure and new. And that's kind of one of the kind of the primary focuses and intentions around the book was we were talking about this retirement cliff that's coming up. So of course, within what's happening today, that's what you were talking about is valid. But we've also been we've been talking about the retirement cliff for a while, and everybody in the world is talking about it just because of how demographics are changing. But we're in this industry that most people haven't heard of. And so as we're thinking about, like, we don't want all this expertise and knowledge to go out the door. And we need to bring new people in. And so how do you bring in new talent? Which the good news is in our business, we need carpenters, we need floor planners, we need accountants and marketers and project managers and account people. Like there are so many talents that could be better leveraged within our space and within our company. And saying, like, how do we bring new talent, expose them, teach them, equip them, and then have them mentored and taught by the people with the experience. And kind of in the old way of thinking was like, well, we can't afford to hire all these people and have a bench for the time that's needed. And now we're like, no, we do need to, we have to afford the people. We need to bring them in, but they're actually able to be more productive.
Definitely.
It used to be you'd have to be around for a long, long time to be put on a national event. And still experience matters so much, but there are so many tools that can help our talent not have to have 15 years of experience to know how to plan for an event. Use the technology, use the process, use the
Yeah,
experience, and then also learn from the tenure. And then
absolutely.
don't force your tenure to have to learn all these new tools. I mean, that's been part of it too, is we've had some people who've said, like, well, if you're going to make me learn all this, I don't think I can, and I'm out. I'm like, well, that's not what we want either. So it's listen, leadership has never been harder. Running an organization has never been harder. And there's never been so much opportunity. It's that
Well,
polarity.
I love your optimism because it is truly opportunity. I hear a lot of planners where they're like, this is getting way too hard. and
Mm-hmm.
and this is getting, not worth it anymore. And I think it's because the mindset that they have is from a control mindset. I
Mm.
know for a fact event professionals, they love control.
Yes.
The only thing they can't control is the weather, and that plays with their mind tremendously. They went and organized an event and they wanted, a reception outside, and all of a sudden it rains and they're ugly
Yep.
crying in the bathroom somewhere. So it comes from that mindset of I need to be in control of everything. And I love your optimism because it's not reality anymore. And I think that this whole idea of the new talent, the agility that we're in, but the expertise that we don't want to have leave the industry, there's a way where you are able to beautifully package it, combine it, have them speak to each other, and not have them jump through hoops with new technology or new ways. If you So my last question to you, because in the you and Bob talk about, the idea of designing the events, that it has this like lasting impression on, everybody that's involved. What is your true take on like what events are going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years?
You know what? It's Dahlia, I see exhibits and events we're producing now and that we produce with our, company Sparks. And I'm like, I I can't even believe that we're doing the work that we're doing. I can't believe the level of sophistication that marketers are expecting
Mhm.
and what our teams are able to deliver and the talent. So I'm kind of loath to say what I think. I would surmise that healthy events are going to be ones that may or may not be bigger, but where the marketers who see the value are going to be spending money in order to achieve the value. And the attendees who recognize value are going to make it a must see event, a must attend event. And what we're going to end up losing are the people who just, oh, I get to see my buddies once a year, or oh, it's in this city, I want to go. Or a marketer is like, oh, I want to go because my competitor is there. And so, I really do believe it's going to be survival of the fittest. But I think that the world of survivors can be very, very big because there are so many unique reasons to have events. And so, to the degree that you have marketers who are really smart and thinking about their audiences and how they can be creative and use, technology and human connection and surprise and delight, and how organizers and event managers are thinking about how they can provide the vehicle for that to happen for all the different marketers and bring in those attendees. It's going to look different. It's going to feel different. And I just am confident that there's, there might be some that don't make it, but I think that the ones that do are really going to continue to drive innovation and connection and new ways of thinking and relationships and all those things that we talk about, making having meaningful connections, which is our
I
purpose.
love that. Well, Carrie, I want to bottle up your optimism and I want to sell it in bottles in our next industry event. So that is a promise. We're going to have to do that. And this playbook inside live events. This is a must have for any student that is in hospitality or in an event management program around any college, because I truly, truly enjoyed it and it has a ton of mic drops in it. And I want to thank you for taking the time to chat with me today about this book. And I hope to hug you soon in an event very, very soon.
I always love connecting with you. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for all the good work that you're doing. And I do hope our paths cross soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Coffee with Dahlia. A heartfelt thank you to our amazing guest, Carrie Freeman Parsons, for sharing her wisdom, experiences, and inspiration with us. Be sure to follow, like, and share so you never miss an episode. Stay curious, stay inspired, and of course, stay caffeinated.